What's going on, everybody? In today's video I'm going to be breaking down each of the drills for my counter piece control map one by one, since some of you guys weren't sure how to run it optimally and my first video on it was really just a demonstration. I'm going to show you the courses from the perspective of the defender first, since this is the player that's going to be focusing on countering the opponent's piece control, and I'll follow it up with the perspective of the person doing the building so I can show you some examples of piece control from behind cover. In each course, the defender will have different angles to look out for. Sometimes only one wall is going to be played, and sometimes you got to be constantly tracking the opponent. The one doing the piece control also has multiple ways of executing it. In some maps, you can be more protected than others. The whole point of the map is for each player to practice piece control without taking damage, and countering someone who knows how to piece control. Some say that there's no way to counter peeks or getting full boxed, but by practicing this map using good techniques, you can learn to do just that. I got a question on the last video saying how come the guy getting piece doesn't build. We wanted to focus on counter peeks and pre-fires, but if you want to practice more realistic counter piece control, you'd be claiming builds that the enemy is trying to get before they get them, and you can do that in this map. In this course, you're in a situation where the enemy has to push you from 2 layers below. He starts with a side jump, but it puts him in a corner where I can see both of his exit points and go for a pre-fire. He does a good job of immediately putting this front wall down, but then he opens it too wide for where he's standing and I'm able to get a free shot. He needed to take his time and play the peek behind this wall, and he could have side jumped directly below me so I wouldn't have an angle as he's coming up instead of where he was in this corner. When pushing in course 1, start with a high wall side jump so the enemy doesn't get an angle on you. And since you've got this extra wall, you're in a great spot to grab all of these pieces except for the wall on the left, because to get it you would have to expose yourself. If the enemy does try and escape, you already know their only exit point, so you can pre-box that whole side if they aren't looking to fight you like this. Since you only have 100 health when pushing, this map really encourages making plays that don't give the enemy a chance to deal damage. In 2B, you want to play very patiently. It can be difficult for the opponent to grab a wall in front of you while they're dropping like this, and it can be tempting to pre-fire while they're falling, but if you miss then you're basically dead because they can run in immediately while your shotgun's still on cooldown. If you play patiently and wait for them to edit on you, you have a lot more options. Since my opponent has many options for dealing with my wall when I'm dropping to his lair, I shove a ramp in his face as soon as I open this window so he can't touch the wall, and now I can do a protected mongrel. I should have seen this shot coming since he really had no other choice but to get out of the ramp, so I should have moved out of the way or pushed his side earlier. This open edit wasn't smart, but crouching before the jump made sure that he would have needed to look straight down to hit me, which he wasn't expecting. If you're in a situation like this where you're weak and have no heals and you're forced to keep fighting, sometimes you gotta make a play super quick. I could have taken my time here because, it's a practice map, but I wanted to do something that might catch him off guard rather than something he was already ready to handle, like making another window. When I'm on this ramp, it's not a good idea to ramp up straight in front of me since I could easily cone this guy off. You can practice threatening certain tiles as the defender, and what I mean by threatening is like coning him off before he's even there so he has to go somewhere else by default. By threatening a tile, you effectively force the enemy to go a certain way and you can piece control more effectively. He doesn't make the safest peek, which gets him hit, and the next one is even more open, but I'm a bot and I miss, so I end up finishing him as he's dropping here. Getting a cone over the opponent is one of the best piece control techniques because it kills their momentum and they have to change which way they're going. In this course, you want to practice coning the enemy off and properly blocking them, whether that's full boxing and editing off the side like I do here, or guessing which tile they're going to move to and pre-boxing that. It's up to you how you want to run it, just make sure you're playing smart and building good habits. In this course, my enemy has the right hand angle on me, so I try and jump, move to a side that'll help me counter peek when he edits this wall. He opens up a wide edit here, so I'm able to get a clean shot off, but if he had played his angle so I could see less of him, then I would have definitely had to move to the left to counter peek. If you're the one defending, your experience in each course will kind of be the same, like you're practicing the same concepts in each one, but if you're the one pushing, then each course can be played completely differently, so the map is really 2-in-1. In this course, my enemy decided to take this wall before I got to him, and it's a good example of counter piece control because it slows me down and it gives him some options to make a play. Because I'm turning this corner, it's very easy to slide cones in way before I'm actually in front of him, and I got him trapped under this cone, which gave me time to retake the wall and get him full box. Even if he was above the cone when I threw it in, he wouldn't have been able to block himself with the stair or anything else if I'd gotten an angle or gotten into his box. So practice sliding in cones when turning a corner or before taking a wall and see how useful it can be. The edit he makes here is super exposed, so this can mean one or two things. Either he's practicing bad habits, or he's baiting me because he expects me to pre-fire. The only way you know if it's one or the other is by observing how they're playing in the moment. Are they fast and unsafe, or are they fast and calculated? Or are they slow? He also flips up the cone so I can hit that instead of him, and then resets it so he can bot me while my shotgun's on cooldown. I was playing super patient, so I waited for him to reset the cone before shooting him, and I don't know where he was looking to peek after resetting this, but it definitely wasn't at me. In this kind of situation, when he has me completely boxed, you really only have two options. Get in his face in 50-50 or try and get out. If you manage to reclaim one of these walls before getting out, you might even be able to use it against him, like, counter peek it, right? But he could also just come through another side since he's got, everything. So you really got to be careful. Some of these courses are based on different piece control drills made by Raider464, and the reason for that is they're very open for practicing them in your own way rather than doing exactly what I'm doing every single time. And it also might be easier to get used to the concept of counter piece control in a course where you already kind of know what you're doing if you've played any of his maps before. Notice how when I get into his box, I immediately start backing out, so I don't end up in a 50-50 when he resets the cone. Even though he resets it right in front of me, I'm safe because he still has to pull out his gun after resetting it, and I can also close this wall just in case I miss so that I can use it to edit on him again. Ideally, in a situation like this, you want to get out as quickly as possible, but for the sake of practicing what happens when you have no other choice, being patient is the #1 thing. When I am playing patient, I am playing off of what the enemy is doing, so I am looking for every opportunity to capitalize off of them making a mistake. Obviously, against somebody that makes no mistakes, you have to outplay them in your own way by pushing back and whatnot, but when directly countering what they are doing, you have to pay attention. This player here executes this peanut butter peek perfectly, and the only way to counter a jump shot like this without taking the wall back or protecting yourself is with an insane pre-fire. And to do that, you really have to pay attention and know when he's going to jump. I do catch him when he's peeking this window because he doesn't execute it as clean as the other peek, which shows that he needs to practice safer window peeks. But something else you could do in these courses if you want super realistic practice would be taking more 50-50s or reclaiming builds and pushing back. I'm only playing it this way to demonstrate some of its basic capabilities and to show you some of the harder stuff. But it's here for you to practice optimal techniques in your own way. In this one, I start by coning him off and grabbing the back walls, then I go for this jump shot. I could have placed the cone under me to give him even less time if he wanted to pre-fire, but I'm able to get a clean shot anyway. In this fight, pay attention to where I'm standing when the window is open. I'm making sure that I open it when he's on the left, and as soon as he crosses into the line of sight, I shoot him and close it. The perfect counter he could have made for this middle window would have been to press himself up against the wall, making it so that I would have had to completely expose myself to hit him. Since I'm not going to do that, it gives him extra time to make a play of his own. Something to notice in this clip is his movement. He goes from side to side, maybe trying to get a better angle on me, but what he should have been doing instead is making it as hard as possible for me to get a clean shot without exposing myself, which in this case, where he's up on this ramp, would have been right in my face above me. The angle I took in this course is super unsafe, but he just shot a striker, which means I can go for it without getting hit as long as I don't hesitate, because he's not going to be able to shoot it for another second or so. Practicing this map is going to help you learn when you need to do something quickly and when you need to do something safely. I struggled in this course for a while because my friend was able to position himself so that I'd have some pretty awkward angles, but I figured out that I'd have to be a lot quicker with the way I was peeking because everywhere I went he'd obviously see, so making this edit behind where he was looking caught him off guard. In this course, my opponent's going to box me up as usual, except I see him make this peanut butter edit, and I'm always paying attention to where he's standing because it's going to be a lot easier to pre-fire him if he's not straight up against it and far to the correct side, so I'm able to hit him here. Again, he had the right idea using the cone as extra cover for the peak, but I think there not being a floor above him gave him a little too much airtime. Now, I'm not going to lie to you, this was a shot in the dark and I kind of got lucky, but you should get into the habit of shooting at places you think the enemy is gonna be because it's a play that can really only benefit you. The outcome is either you lose a bullet or you deal damage and look like a pro. This is especially useful if you use your shotgun to help you take walls when the enemy is editing, because it adds one more advantage on top of the list of things that can happen when you try and make a prediction like that. Either you get the wall, maybe you don't, but you can still back up and try again, or my favorite, they open it as soon as you try and take it because you're also looking at them when you do it and it turns into this insane pre-fire. I feel like not enough people use this strategy. It's such an easy way to pressure someone without risking that much. If you simply take the extra step and line up your shot on them through the wall when you're trying to take it, you're applying that extra bit of pressure that can really give you the advantage if you do it right. In this course, I try and stare him off early, but when he places this wall on the right, I end up getting stuck, so I decide to push around the right side. I could have been a little more protective pushing this side because he is to my right, which means he can use the wall he has to safely peek or outright pre-fire me as I'm coming around the corner. But if he had stuck to his angle and stayed on my right side here, then this window would be a perfect counter peek for him. I don't think he saw this opportunity, but it's good to look out for when your enemy is switching the side they're pushing from, like I do here. The same thing happens when I come around this side and make a window. He needed to commit to a spot and play his position, but instead he isn't sure where to go, so he moves side to side looking for an angle he doesn't have. Not many people use face tricks like this, especially when the SMGs are so broken, but they can really force your enemy to put themselves into a bad spot. In this course, you kind of have to go toward the open side once they do the face trick, and I was trying to figure out a way where I could have every direction be available to exit from when I was making the course, so the person pushing would have to guess where you're going to move like in a real match, but it ended up looking more complicated than it was, and I could try again if you guys would prefer to practice it like that. But anyway, I run out the open side, and again, I'm paying attention to where he's standing when he opens the wall and take advantage of that. Same thing in this course. I phase the ramp, he has nowhere else to go, so I look to pre-box his easiest escape route. Even though it didn't completely help me in this situation, notice the way I flip this cone in half once it's in his box. It's almost like a mongrel in the same way you place it and then you hit these two tiles, but with the cone they can't hide in the back like they can with the stair, and they can't use it to counter peek. This edit cuts the amount of room they have to move in half, and if you have them trapped like this, they obviously have nowhere else to go, but you get an even safer peek than if they were trapped with the ramp in their box, because you could still hit them with the window. In this course, the enemy cones me off from 2 layers below while I'm on this ramp. The best move I can make here is side jump or go a different direction, but if he gets up to my layer quickly enough, then I end up in this awkward situation where I'm completely exposed. I don't want to give him any damage for free, so I'm constantly moving around, trying to get the wall, trying to go for a counter peek, constantly applying pressure even though he's pushing me. I hit him at the beginning here, even though he ends up on the far right by the end of the jump, because he starts the jump in the center super early and he gives me a lot of time to react. He gets this nasty spray through his own wall, which is something I don't see a lot. Usually they'll be spraying if it's my wall, but it caught me off guard and it was pretty clean damage. If he had his shotty out when he made this peek up top, he probably would have killed me, but I was able to clean it up quick. I go for a sneaky window while he's trying to reclaim that first wall and catch him completely off guard. After this, I go around a different side, try and be unpredictable, go for the peanut butter, and it's over. This player usually throws me off with his movement, but he jumped when I was opening the wall, so it was really easy to hit him. Hopefully this video has helped you understand how to practice on this map, and I hope you can improve your piece control and counter piece control techniques. If you liked the video, leave a like, dislike if you didn't, and leave video or map ideas in the comments. Peace.